Have any questions for Teresa? Go right ahead and raise your hand. Oh, hold on. Kareem?
Hey, what's up, Teresa? I think you're still muted.
Hold on. This is what happened when Kara's not here. Hold on.
Oh, yep, I can hear you now.
Hey, Kareem.
Hey, how are you?
How are you?
Good. First question, just, how are you feeling?
Going through some little frustration periods, but we got in the gym today. We watched some film, went over some of our glaring mistakes, and we're looking forward to being able to have this quick turnaround to correct a lot of those mistakes and be able to do better on the things that we struggled with against Seattle and against Minnesota. So today was a really good prep day for us to prepare for our game tomorrow.
Cool. And sorry, I wasn't clear. I meant you physically. I know you've been banged up.
Yeah, going through a little bit of back stuff right now. Nothing serious, just a lot of precautionary stuff, just to kind of keep the load light. But we'll be ready to go tomorrow, and looking forward to getting on the court and playing around a little bit.
As I was gonna say, is it pretty much your basic kind of rehab in between games, that kind of thing? Nothing super extra?
Yeah, like long flights like that are always pretty hard. And being able to stay on the road for that long isn't necessarily ideal. But being able to come in today and get treatment and kind of get on, our normal schedules is really nice, and just getting treatment today. But yeah, everything's normal rehab schedule, normal correctives. Everything is going as planned, and just increasing my workload day by day.
Cool. And just one last one, you touched on it in the beginning, talking about the team, and I'm just curious, I know that last one was a frustrating one. What was the biggest thing that you guys kind of took away from that? Or is that something that's like so uncharacteristic of you guys that you just flush it and forget it?
I just feel like we have 4 games left, and we need to find what we hang our hat on. Right now, it doesn't look like our defense is where we want it to be, as well as our offense. So being able to find our identity to be able to make this playoff push is something that we are very urgent to do. And today, just being better in our defensive spots, knowing where each other is, communicating, and just doing a better job of having awareness of where everybody else is, not necessarily a one-on-one coverage, but who are you helping, who are you rotating to, having those kind of communication, having better communication in those type of areas is going to help us a lot. Because right now we're making a lot of mistakes due to 2 people going to the ball at one time, us not being on the help side, transition, turnovers turning into transition points, things like that. There are little things that we can clean up, and it's something that we need to do to be able to move forward and make a good run to get into the playoffs and move further after that.
Cool. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate you. See you tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Tyler?
Hey, Teresa, good to see you.
You as well.
I know these kind of precautionary holdouts sometimes can be a little bit frustrating, especially when your team is sometimes struggling to get the energy and get things going. What has that been like for you, knowing that you have to kind of limit yourself in order to not make this injury worse, but also you want to be able to in there and fight with your teammates?
Anybody that's ever dealt with an injury knows how frustrating it is to see wants and needs of a team and not being able to fulfill that. But just doing what you can day by day to do your part, to be a good teammate, to make sure you're getting all your correctives, all your time, your massage, everything in to be the best you can be. Because ultimately, when you're feeling better as an individual, you can do better for the team. And I just try to keep that mentality that whatever I do for my body, I'm doing for everybody. And just doing the little things away from the ball or on the sideline or wherever I am at the time to contribute. And that's kind of how I just keep my head straight and focus on what's next, what's the next task.
And then I'm changing subjects a little bit. I'm curious about how Shavonte is the high five person at the end of the starting lineup line. So kind of what went into maybe the decision-making process for her to be the hype person at the end of the line, giving everybody high fives?
I don't know if it was like a decision, but I think that Z was born for that spot. I think that she does a really great job. She has so much energy and she's always so energetic and she's just pure comedy. So her being able to take that last spot is like a good burst of energy right before the game starts, and there's no better person than Z.
And then when you were in the starting lineup, kind of what was did you guys go over a high five routine with each other?
So we have I don't know if you're familiar with the movie White Chicks, but there's a scene in the club where they're like dancing and doing like this kind of movements. So that was me and Z's intro, or my little run out dance with Z.
Oh, perfect. And then you kind of already answered this, but I mean, who's been the best kind of hype high five person in your career that you've experienced?
Oh man, I've had quite a few, but I think, I mean, this is really tough. It's really hard to just name one person, but little Swaggy, little Natisha Heidemann from the Connecticut Sun. She is like the ultimate hype girl. She is coming up with dances, constantly passing out if people have cool moves, whatever it is. Swaggy brings the energy constantly on and off the court. And Swaggy, she just really great person on top of that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Teresa.
Christy?
Hey, Teresa, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. In looking at the previous games against Atlanta, what things did the team like to see, and what kinds of things do you need to hone in on defense to take their strengths away tomorrow?
To be able to take their strengths, they have a bunch of guards that love to push in transition, and when you have their running capabilities that they have at the post spot, their transition is something that we're going to have to focus on and take away as much as possible, as well as being able to stop them from penetrating into the gaps. When they get in the gaps and they start making layups, therefore collapsing the defense and having wide open kickouts, that's when things get dangerous against the Dream. So we have to do a good job containing their guards and really make them have to make extra passes all night long and make them do things that they aren't necessarily comfortable with, taking them out of their go-to move or their go-to drive, do something different, running 3-point shooters off the line. We just need to lock in and hone in defensively tomorrow, and I think that if we do that, we have a pretty good chance.
And how much of it is, yes, there's a sense of urgency, obviously, for the playoffs, but obviously you need to execute. So is there you have to bear down, but how do you kind of mix the two of those entities for tomorrow's game?
It's been a challenge for us all season long to try to find what works, and it doesn't help when you have lineups that are forever changing. But the one thing that we can do is do a better job locking in and just finding things that work and play to our pace. Sometimes we get sped up, sometimes we get slowed down, depending on how the other team is playing us, but we need to play at our pace. And we've seen spurts of that throughout the season where we played some really great basketball. We just need to put that together for a 30-minute span and keep that moving and build off it every game, because right now we are very inconsistent with how we're playing. If we're playing aggressive, if we're playing slower, what it looks like, a lot of ball screens, a lot of post-ups, we just need to play smarter. And I think that going into these last 4 games is something that's going to be a real focus on finding out who we are and playing to those.
Gotcha. Thank you so much.
Thank you, T. Okay, if you have any questions for Coach, go right ahead and raise your hand. Kareem?
Hey, Mike, how's it going?
Another day.
Quick, let's check on the folks that that weren't on the road trip. How's Elena's situation at the moment?
She's probably not going to play at all this weekend, and I'm not sure about the rest of the year yet. I don't know yet. Not
He-
great improvement.
Was there a feeling of a setback, or is she just still feeling that same?
A little bit of a setback, and part of it is, is the referred pains that, she had earlier when, not just the back, but it affects the nerves in your leg and all that kind of stuff. And so that's been part of the problem.
Gotcha. I remember that was something she was dealing with. I think in between those surgeries, that was an issue.
We got a little bit of that to deal with right now.
Gotcha. So is she even practicing at this point? Nope. Gotcha. How about Maisha's illness?
About every test that you could possibly run has been run, and most of them are negative, or all of them are negative, actually. Don't know exactly. She's still feeling under the weather. She's passed every, COVID test. She's, there could be, some sort of just a regular, virus going around of some sort, but it's knocked her out and she's not any closer to playing.
So she's basically bedridden. Is that kind of where she's at?
She's been in the facility. She's walked in the pool and stuff, but she's not ready for any basketball stuff. She's just exhausted.
Gotcha. So moving forward, still. Oh, I wanted to check on Tina. Did Tina bounce back fine from that last game?
Yeah, Tina's practice. We're also going to be without another player this weekend too. Ariel Atkins has had a death in the family and has a funeral to attend, and will not be with us for either game.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. That's awful. Just for her.
Yep.
Sorry to hear that. I guess here we are again, super shorthanded with another top scorer out.
Yep.
What was the message today?
Message was control what you can control. You can control effort, you can control communication, you can control physical things like rebounding and blocking out and taking care of the ball. Cannot control necessarily whether you're going to make shots or not. You have to give yourself a chance to win with your effort and your energy and your defensive things or communication and effort. Obviously footwork and size and speed all comes into it, but if you go out and you play a game and you play as hard as you can and you try to do all the right things and you're not good enough, you're not good enough. I thought the other night in Seattle, we played a great team who was ready to play, but we didn't control all the things we could control. And we gave them a head start with our turnovers. I think that was the start of it. And then, it just kind of snowballed. But whether we win or lose the rest of the season, let's feel happy after the game about how hard we played and how we communicate and do those things. Then you can live with some other stuff, but you can't live with, you left something out there that you could have done better.
And just one more quickly, thinking about Ariel, do you know who slides up?
Either Leilani or Z probably. We'll decide tomorrow before shoot around.
Cool. I'll let everybody else get a chance. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate you.
Tyler,
Hey, Coach, I know you said there were 16 minutes where you had all the pieces together in this season. Was there ever a point where you felt settled in this season and you kind of...
Not once, ever.
And then I know you said this is a season that you've never seen anything like it before. And I know you don't want to kind of break down how you handled the season, but just overall, blow for blow, how do you think the team's morale has been able to handle just one thing after another?
You know, it's funny. I mean, we're, you know, despite the results in Seattle, I felt like, I may have said it after the game, I don't remember, that we had a great day of practice the day before after a tough loss in Minnesota, that we were upbeat, that shoot around was upbeat. And for the most part, today was upbeat. I don't think, you know, we're running on all cylinders as far as some things I have expectations for, but, you know, how I've handled it is that, you know, I have a job to do. I get paid to coach this team to the best of my ability. I show up every day, you know, trying to prepare them for situations that can occur in a game, and try to, you know, our staff preparing scatter reports, and, you know, watch all the film you can do and do all of that. And you're either good enough or you're not good enough. And at this point, you know, we're going to coach them every day like we would, you know, at the first day of the season. You got to come as a coaching staff and bring energy. But the other thing I told them today too is that I'm not going to sit here and every time they make a mistake, you know, rant and rave. And if they want somebody that's going to do that, at some point they're adult basketball players that, you know, they have to have some responsibility for their day-to-day actions. I'm not going to beg people to do the right thing. They all need to know what the right thing is. If you make mistakes because somebody's better than you and they out physical you, or they're, you know, better shooter than you, you know, more talented, that's one thing. But let's just not give in to all the woe and, you know, doom and gloom that's surrounding our team. We can't give into it. Never can give into it.
And I know there's multiple reasons for having a player like Shavonte brought onto the team this season. One of them is her energy and how she's able to hype her teammates up. How well has she been able to do that this season for you guys?
The other night's a perfect example. Everything's going wrong and she kept playing, and she wasn't going to let anybody feel sorry for themselves. She made some big shots. You know, she has struggled with her shooting during the year, but she has never been down. You know, every day I know what I'm going to get every day. She's prepared. She's read the scouting report. She can talk her teammates through. You know, today, you know, talking through the scouting report, she was talking to Shatori about how to guard somebody, you know, in a certain situation that she's probably been through a million times, and trying to, you know, kind of coach her too. And I think that's what you need, you know, to have a couple veteran players on your team that can do that.
And last one for me, I know before the pandemic, the attire for games was always a suit and tie. I know in the wobble, everything kind of changed. Everyone kind of went business casual. You've kind of stepped it up a little bit. I know you had some quarter zips and you still kind of get nice. Do you think you're ever going to go back to shirt and tie? Are you happy with where the attire is now?
Well, I'm happy with where it is right now. Whether the league mandates it, in the past, shirt and tie was a mandated thing, or coat, you know, not necessarily the tie, but a sport coat, whatever is mandated. The bubble started to change. Nobody wanted to pack, you know, 10 suits to go to, you know, 100-degree weather in Bradenton, Florida. And just with the way travel was and everything else, there was a vote among the league to stay with it. I don't know what'll happen in the future, but I sure like packing a lot better when I'm not taking coats and ties every time.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach.
Christy?
Hey there, Coach. I was going to ask a little bit about the leadership, but you kind of alluded to that, but with Shavonte, but who else have you seen kind of step up because of all of the issues that have been compounded lately?
I mean, I think, you know, our normal veterans between Natasha and Tina and Ariel have been very good in that way. I mean, they've been through it. You know, those are the ones you expect to be through it. Everybody else has tried to do the right things. I just think that those guys have been through the fire a little bit more. Natasha's always going to be, you know, talkative and emotional. Tina has, you know, been more vocal with this team since she came back. And, you know, Ariel over the course of time has gotten better and better at it. You know, that's who I expect to do most of the leadership.
Right. And with Atlanta and watching your previous games with them, what have you liked from your team during those games?
It's hard because we've had a different group play against Atlanta. So the first time we played them, we gave away a game in Atlanta, and we had all sorts of issues in that game. Just lots of inner strife in that game just because we were frustrated and how things were going and the start of the injuries. And then the second time we played them, when we beat them, we didn't have Tina. Maisha got hurt during the game. We were basically down to playing with 6 people at the end of the game. And we played a particular way, and they were playing differently then than they are now. I don't think there's a huge correlation that we can use from those games. I think this is kind of 2 new teams in a sense playing each other. They've been through a long losing streak that they snapped out of in Dallas last week. They aren't, a couple of their key players, Cheyenne Parker's not playing, Tiana's been hurt. I know I'm forgetting somebody else that's hurt for them. We obviously have our injuries. Maisha's not playing. Ariel won't be here. So I don't know how much you can take from the previous, and it was so long ago that we played them so early in the season.
Right. And just with Tina, this is my last one. Just with Tina, I know that she's trying to get herself reacclimated after missing some games. What have you seen from her in that regard?
Well, it's interesting. She's played 2 games, and in both games, and I'm sure we'll see it tomorrow night if they watch film, that she got a very hard dose of aggressive double teams, particularly from Seattle, and to the point of being triple teams at times. And, she got some of that treatment in Minnesota. And then the reality is it's frustrating for her. And without some of her other teammates around her, teams have basically said, hey, we're not going to let you score. You're going to have to pass to your other teammates, and we're going to see if they make enough shots. And so that's been hard. She's trying to, find herself some space on the court to operate. And there's not a lot of space to operate for her right now. And you don't want a steady diet of her just playing at the 3-point line either. So that's the hard part.
Right. Thank you, Coach.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks, Coach.
Recording in progress.
Christy.
Hey, Shatori. Coach was talking about how Ariel is going to be missing the next couple of games. And I know it's a team effort and it's a collective step up when players are out. But what does that mean for you not to have Ariel in the lineup next couple?
Ariel is a big part of our offense, a big part of our defense, a big part of our team. But, collectively, we all definitely got to step up. I know for me, I want to definitely be more aggressive defensively for sure, be disruptive, because Atlanta is a guard-oriented team. Their guards are their engine. So I definitely want to lock in on my matchup, whichever, because those will change throughout the game. So just locking in on who I'm guarding, definitely be disruptive, continue to look for my shots on offense.
And how much of the game tomorrow in particular will be more based on like the grit than I guess execution or game plan? I know you're going to try to execute, but how much of that is going to be added in terms of the sense of urgency for playoffs?
A lot of it, time is not on our side right now, so we have to take every opportunity every day, every time we're on the court. Seriously, we have to lock in. And tomorrow's another opportunity to try to get that playoff bid. We're working towards a goal, and tomorrow's would be a great step and a great help into the goal.
Thank you so much.
Tyler.
Hey, Shatori. I wanted to ask a couple questions about Shavonte. I'm curious about how the high five process at the beginning of the game is handled. I know she tries to have unique high fives with everybody. What goes through the process between you and her in preparing for your high five before a game?
It's crazy because I obviously came later in the season. So we never really had that one-on-one or that sidebar that she might have had with everybody else. But because she's so high energy, she always gives me like a tidbit before the game while I'm walking up or going into my my high five, you know, Tori, I need you to be aggressive today. Tori, we need your defense today. So like, even though my high five is just a simple 2-hand high five, she always gives me that sidebar that I actually look forward to. She probably doesn't know, but I always, because she's at the end, when we're calling out and when we're doing our team one. So I always look for her feedback for sure.
And then how does, I mean, every team has this in some sort of fashion. How does she compare to maybe other players in your career that you've had 2 high fives at the end of the line, and how can you appreciate that?
No, I appreciate it a lot. I never really got that sidebar, that feedback. And because she is a great vet, very decorated vet in the league, I take her feedback to heart. I always actually even sometimes go for it, seek it out just to hear her feedback. Because sometimes when I'm in the game, she's on the bench, she can see she has a different perspective. So I always ask her what I could do more, what I'm lacking in. And she definitely gives it to me, honestly.
Thank you, Tori.
All right. Thank you, Tori.
No problem.